November 12th, 2022, 7:43 p.m. My sister set down her wine glass, looked across the table at me, and said, "You know what your problem is? You're a failure. You always have been." The words hung in the air for a beat. Then my father laughed. My mother smiled into her napkin. My brother-in-law nodded like she'd just diagnosed something obvious. I felt my stomach drop, that elevator lurch sensation when the ground disappears. Around us, the restaurant hummed with normal conversations, the clink of silverware on porcelain. At our table, silence except for their quiet, synchronized amusement. I looked at my mother. She looked away. That moment, I didn't know it yet, was the hinge. I need you to understand the pattern. Scapegoating is when a family consistently blames one person for problems, using them as an emotional release valve while protecting a golden child from criticism. When I was 9, my sister broke my mother's vase playing indoor soccer. I was reading in my room. My mother grounded me for not watching her. When I graduated summa cum laude, my father said, "Well, you always were good at following rules." When my sister dropped out of her 3rd college, they paid for a gap year in Portugal. June 1st, 2021, I earned a promotion to senior analyst. My mother's response verbatim, "That's nice, honey. Did you hear your sister is starting a candle business?" The candle business lasted 4 months. Before that, a jewelry line. Before that, a lifestyle blog. Each venture required an infusion of cash, always from our parents, twice from me. March 20th, 2020, I transferred $4,200 for her inventory emergency. I never saw it again. When I asked about repayment, my father told me, "Family doesn't keep score." But they did keep score, just only against me. After the failure comment, after the laughter died and we ordered dessert like nothing had happened, my sister leaned over. "I'll call you next week," she said. "I have an investment opportunity. You're going to want in." My chest tightened. I smiled. I said, "Sure." October 9th, 2022, the email arrived. Subject line, "Quick favor?" The ask, "Co-sign a business loan for $18,500. Her credit was temporarily complicated. Mine was excellent. "It's basically free money," she wrote. "I just need your signature." I didn't answer right away. That's when the calls started. October 14th, 2022, 9:12 a.m., my father texted, "Your sister really needs this. Don't be selfish." 11:37 a.m., my mother, "Family helps family. I'm disappointed you're even hesitating." I hadn't said no. I hadn't said anything. But silence, apparently, was betrayal. October 15th, my sister sent a follow-up email with attachments. Business plan, projected revenue, LLC paperwork for something called Luminera Wellness Collective. Crystals, sound baths, manifestation coaching. The loan was for inventory, a storefront deposit, and marketing amplification. The business plan projected $60,000 revenue in year 1. It was 12 pages of pastel gradients and aspirational fonts. That night they called. All 3 of them conference line. "Dad, we're just asking for a signature. You don't have to pay anything." Me. "If I co-sign, I'm legally liable if she defaults." Sister. "I'm not going to default. Oh my God, why are you being like this?" Mom, "This is what I mean. You always assume the worst about her." I'm just trying to understand the terms. Sister. "The terms are that I'm your sister and you're supposed to support me." Dad. "You make good money. If something did happen, which it won't, you could handle it." Me. "That's not the point." Mom. "Then what is the point? That you want her to fail?" The line went quiet. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, that muffled thud like a fist on a door. Me. "I need time to think about it." Sister. "Unbelievable." She hung up. My parents stayed on the line another 30 seconds, silent. Then my mother said, "I hope you can live with yourself," and disconnected. I sat in my apartment, phone still warm in my hand, and felt the walls close in. I didn't sleep. Instead, I opened my laptop and started digging. First, my sister's business history. The LLC for Luminara Wellness Collective was filed October 5, 2022, 1 week before she asked me to co-sign. No revenue, no assets, just a registered agent and a pastel logo. Then I checked my old emails, searched her name, and found something I'd forgotten. September 23, 2022, 2:14 p.m. And I missed a call from a recruiter. Voicemail. Hi, we were following up on a reference check for your sister, but the feedback we received was concerning. We've decided to move forward with other candidates. Thanks anyway. I'd asked my sister about it. She said they weren't the right fit. I didn't push. Now I pulled the recruiter's number, searched my call log. The reference they'd called was my mother. My mother told them my sister was still finding her footing and not quite ready for that level of responsibility. My mother had torpedoed her own daughter's job. Then I found the forwarded emails. Message ID D4F7A19B@familymail.com. October 2nd, 2022, 8:06 a.m. My mother had forwarded an email I'd sent her about my promotion, my new salary range, to my sister. With a note, "See? She can afford to help you." I clicked through my sent folder, found 3 more. Every time I'd shared good news with my mother, she'd forwarded it to my sister within hours. My sister hadn't resented me on her own. She'd been fed. I checked my bank records. October 7th, 2021. Wire transfer WF 11844 $3,000 to my sister. Memo, emergency car repair. She'd totaled her car, yes. Insurance had covered it. I learned that later from my brother-in-law's Facebook post, thanking the insurance company. She'd lied. They'd all known. October 16th, 2022, 11:51 p.m. I took a screenshot of every email, every text, every transaction. My hands were steady. I didn't feel angry. I felt cold, clear, surgical. I saved the folder as evidence. October 18th, 2022, I signed a retainer agreement with an attorney who specialized in family mediation and estate disputes. Her name was Catherine Lowe. Her office smelled like leather and cold coffee. She listened to my summary, reviewed my evidence folder, and said, "This is textbook scapegoating with financial exploitation. We can work with this." She recommended formal mediation, not therapy, not a family meeting, but a legal process with recorded terms. "If you want enforceable boundaries," she said, "you need documentation and witnesses. Mediation case number FM 2022-7135. Scheduled for November 2nd, 2022, 3 p.m. My family didn't want to attend. My father called it ridiculous. My sister called it hostile. My mother said, "You're tearing this family apart." Catherine sent a letter on firm letterhead. They agreed. November 2nd, 3 p.m. We sat in a conference room with beige walls and a long table. The mediator, Mr. Andres Kwan, neutral and methodical, opened with ground rules. Catherine placed a manila folder in front of me. It felt heavier than it was. Mediator Kiwaiwan, we're here to discuss boundaries and financial matters. Ms. Lowe, please present your client's position. Catherine, my client has documented a pattern of financial exploitation and emotional harm. We've prepared 5 exhibits. Mom, exhibits? This is a family, not a court. Mediator Kwan, Mrs. Hayes, please let counsel finish. Catherine, Exhibit A, forwarded emails showing Mrs. Hayes sharing my client's private financial information with her sister. Exhibit B, wire transfer records showing $3,000 obtained under false pretenses. Exhibit C, reference call log indicating Mrs. Hayes sabotaged her own daughter's employment. Exhibit D, text messages coordinating pressure regarding the loan cosign. Exhibit E, business filings showing the loan request occurred 1 week after LLC registration, with no revenue or assets. She slid copies across the table. My father's face went red. My sister stared at the paper. My mother looked at me finally, but I didn't look away this time. Dad, this is... You can't just... Mediator Kwan. Mr. Hayes, do you dispute the authenticity of these documents? Dad, no. Catherine, my client is requesting 3 terms. 1. Full no-contact agreement legally recorded. 2. Forgiveness of all prior loans, totaling $7,200, in exchange for mutual release of claims. 3. A cease and desist regarding any financial requests or third-party interference. Silence. Then my sister said, "You're really doing this?" I said, "Yes." We negotiated for an hour. In the end, they signed. November 2nd, 2022, 4:51 p.m. Terms executed and recorded with the mediator's office. The terms in full. 1. No contact agreement. My parents, my sister, and her husband would not contact me directly or through third parties, including extended family, for a minimum of 12 months. Any violation would trigger legal penalties outlined in Section 4B. 2. Financial release. All prior loans, totaling $7,200, were forgiven. In exchange, all parties released any claims, debts, or expectations, past or future. 3. Cease and desist. My family would not request, solicit, or pressure me for financial assistance, co-signing, or business involvement. They would not share my contact information, employment details, or personal business with anyone outside the agreement signatories. The agreement was notarized. Each of us received a copy. My father didn't make eye contact. My sister left without a word. My mother paused at the door and said, "I hope you're happy." I didn't answer. November 3rd, 2022, 9:17 a.m. Catherine emailed me. Cease and desist letter CD 2022-4409 issued to all parties. Mediation agreement recorded with county clerk as of 10:02 a.m. You're clear. I read that line 3 times. You're clear. I sat at my kitchen table with my phone in my hand. The November light slanted through the window, pale and cool. I could hear my neighbor's dog barking, the hum of traffic below. Normal sounds. The world hadn't ended. November 4th, I closed the joint savings account my mother had insisted I open for emergencies. Balance, $11.32. I transferred it to my checking and shut it down. November 5th, I activated a new phone number. I gave it to my friends, my boss, my dentist, not my family. November 6th, my father tried calling the old number. 12 calls in 3 hours. All blocked. My mother left a voicemail on my work line. This is cruel. I forwarded it to Catherine. She sent another cease and desist. That night, I sat on my couch with a mug of tea and no knot in my stomach. The relief didn't come like a wave. It came like cold water, slow and clean, washing over something that had been burning for years. I didn't feel victorious. I felt quiet. Between November 6th and December 1st, 2022, my old phone logged 83 blocked calls. My father, my mother, my sister. Sometimes at 2 a.m., sometimes back-to-back. 7 in a row. I didn't listen to the voicemails. Catherine's assistant transcribed them for the file. Themes: unreasonable, vindictive, breaking mom's heart. December 19th, 2022, Luminara Wellness Collective posted a closure notice on Instagram. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we are pausing operations. The storefront had never opened. The inventory, as far as I could tell, never arrived. My sister had been counting on my cosign. Without it, the bank denied the loan. Without the loan, there was no business. I didn't feel sorry. January 4th, 2023, my cousin Melissa emailed. Subject: what happened? My mother had told the extended family I'd abandoned them, that I'd refused to help my sister, and then filed a lawsuit out of spite. I replied with a 2-line summary and a PDF of the mediation agreement minus financials. This is what actually happened. I'm not discussing it further. Melissa wrote back in 10 minutes. Oh my God, I had no idea. January 5th, my uncle, my mother's brother, texted me on the new number, which Melissa must have shared. Your mom always did this. I'm sorry we didn't see it. I thanked him. I didn't elaborate. The boundaries held even for kindness. My parents tried once more, through a priest at their church, who called me in February. I politely explained that I had a legal no-contact agreement and couldn't engage. He apologized and hung up. After that, silence. The blowback had nowhere to go. February 1st, 2023, I signed a lease on a new apartment across town. Bigger windows, a neighborhood where no one knew my family. I hung art I actually liked. I bought a couch that didn't come from my mother's storage unit. November 12th, 2023, exactly 1 year after the dinner, I hosted my own. 6 people, 2 friends from work, my former college roommate and her wife, my neighbor, and my cousin Melissa. We made pasta. We drank wine. Someone told a bad joke about zodiac signs and we laughed until we cried. At 7:38 p.m., Melissa took a photo of all of us crammed around my small table, mid-laugh, plates everywhere. No one called me a failure. No one looked away. Later, after everyone left, I sat by the window with the lights off and the city glowing outside. I thought about the cost, the family I'd been born into, the invitations I'd never receive, the future nieces and nephews I might not meet. And I thought about the worth. Mornings without dread, money that stayed mine, a life I didn't have to defend. November 13th, I wrote in my journal, I used to think leaving meant losing. Now I know it means choosing. The mediation agreement still sits in my file cabinet. I haven't opened it in months. I don't need to. The terms hold. The boundaries hold. And I am free.